Hello, my dear students and the rest of the learners. Welcome to part 11 of a 7-part series of tutorials in computer structured programming in C and Pascal. This is section 5 of 5 in the topic program structure. My name is Meme JM, or you can simply call me Emil Swap. In this tutorial, I'm going to look at input-output instructions, where I'll highlight on input instructions, the output instructions, what we call escape sequence. I repeat, in this tutorial, I'm going to look at the input-output instructions, under which we are going to look at input instructions, the output instructions, and escape sequence. We commence by looking at input-output instructions in general. Input instructions are those instructions or statements that instruct the computer to fetch data from the user through the input device. For example, keyboard into the memory. Thus, when it is obeying such instruction, the computer must hang and wait for the user's input, which is confirmed when the user hits the return, or what we call the enter key on the keyboard. The computer then stores each input into a variable in the memory. In Pascal, Pascal provides access to the input and output devices through a set of standard procedures that are predefined in the input or in the inbuilt input and output files. That's why it is vital to include the file parameters input output in the program header, just as I said in my previous presentations, because they are the ones that have the definition for all the input and output functions and procedures used to handle inputs and outputs. My dear students and the rest of the learners, if you don't remember what we are saying or what we said, I kindly request that you go back to the parts in this series that discussed about program formats or program structures. The Pascal input procedures include read and readline. The read procedure reads the data items and assigns them to their respective variables while executing the next line in its current line. However, the readline procedure reads data items and assigns them to their respective variables while executing the next line on a new line of input. It is advisable that the variables of different data types be segregated into separate read statements in order to avoid problems with certain compilers. The readline statement, without any arguments, can be entered in a program to enable the programmer to be able to see the results of a program after execution before returning to the source code. In other words, if you want to be seeing the results of your processing task when you run your program, it is good that you include readline as a statement by itself so that once it is encountered, the screen pauses to allow you read, and then once you are through with reading the output, you press enter key to continue or to exit. For example, if you have declared the following variables as follows in Pascal, you have declared two variables, score and age, as type integer. And then you have declared miniscore as real, and you have declared the name as a string. Then the syntax for input instructions in Pascal can take any of the following forms. Read variable names, semicolon. That's the syntax. So if you want to read the score at the edge, at the same time, you write it as read, opening parenthesis, score, comma, edge, closing parenthesis, and semicolon. If you want to read miniscore by its own, which of course is good, always separate the different types of data types with their own separate reads. Don't combine float with integers. So because miniscore is a real, or what we call the float, you read it separately. Read miniscore. Then, because name is a string, is of type character, you can also read it separately. So we are reading score at the edge because both of them are integers. So it's not good to use the same read statements or read statement, read different types of data at the same time. Like you can, it's not good to have read, score, age, miniscore, name. Those are different data types, so read them separately. Then for inline, it's the same as for read. The only difference is that now we are adding an. For example, readline, score, age. Readline means score. Readline name. So anytime you want to read any value, you want to allow the user to enter a value. Like through the keyboard, you make use of read or read line. In C, most of the functions for handling the input and output devices are usually predefined in a file that we call STDOH. In other words, I said before, it stands for standard input output file, and it is a header file. So it is standard input output header file. And thus this header must be included in the source code before starting to make use of such functions. The two main functions that are used for input in C are scanf, followed by a parenthesis to indicate a function, and gets. So scanf and gets. In Pascal, it is read or readline. In C, it is scanf or gets. Gets is used when inputting a string variable and allows spaces to be included in the input. It accepts only one variable at a time. Their syntax are as follows. So this is how you do it in C. Scanf, opening parenthesis. Now, this sign here for percentage, like percentage T, it's identifier for a certain type. So for example, percentage type identifiers, comma, memory address operator, variable names, you close the parenthesis, then semicolon. So that's the general syntax. Scanf, opening parenthesis. Percentage for type identifiers, comma, memory or operator variable, memory operator, variable name. For example, or the other syntax for reading is gets, then the variable name. Now I'm going to give some examples. For example, if you have declared variables like int, score, age, semicolon, then float miniscore, then the character or car name composed of maximum of 18 characters, which is an array of characters, then the following statements will be used in C. Scanf, then in other words, we want to read two scores. We want to read two scores. So we want to read, in other words, we want to read two values. One, we want to read the score. The other one, we want to read the age. So this statement reads or tells the compiler as follows. Read, scanf, get a value, read two values of type integer. This is identifier for type integer. type integer, that is whole number. So read two values or get two values of type integer. The first value store it in the memory location called score. The second value store it in the memory location called age. So read the two values of type integer. The first value is a score. So it's the memory location called score. Base operator here, we call it memory address operator, or simply memory operator. So this statement reads or means get two values, read the two values from the keyboard, through the keyboard, enter through the keyboard, read the two values of type integer. The first value stored in memory location called score. The second value stored in memory location called age. Then for min score, it is scanif identifier for float for a number with a decimal point. So scanif %f memory address operator min score, you close the parentheses and the colon. Simply, this statement is interpreted as follows, or it reads as follows. It is what is telling the compiler. Get or read one value, read one value which is of type float. Get a number, one value which is expected to have a fraction of parts. And that value stored in the memory location called min score. Stored in the memory location called min score. Then for get, we simply get name. We want to read the name. The memory address operator, that sometimes we call the half-assembly sign, stores the value entered in the memory address specified. So we call it memory address operator. The following are some of the type identifiers used in C and the data type they represent. So whenever you have %C, that's an identifier for character type. Then %F, we simply call it is read as a single identifier for string. Then %D is representing data type integer. Then percentage or %LD is long integer. %HD is short integer. %LF is double or long double. %F is float. %E is floating point number with an exponent. Let's now look at output instructions. The two types of output instructions are, number one, those that are used to fetch some contents from memory and output them to the user through the screen or to other devices such as hand disk. Number two, it is those that are used to display statements that either instruct the user to perform a certain task, we call them interactive statements, or just inform the user about what is being done. In Pascal, the two main standard procedures used are write and RightLine. They are the opposite of read and readline. Write is used to display data items on the screen or write it to an output file, or the cursor remains on the current line to execute the next statement. Therefore, it causes the next output statement display data on the current line. RightLine is used to display or write data items on the screen or an output file while the cursor moves to the next line or a new line after the last data item. So it executes the subsequent line on a new line and not on the current line. Therefore, it causes the next output statement to display data on a new line. RightLine procedure without any parameters can be used to generate a blank line, like when you want to get proper spacing between one output and another on the screen or on a file. The syntax for these procedures is as follows. Write, then the statement you want to display on the screen, interactive statement. Remember, you put that in a quote, that statement which you want to appear. For example, write, enter your age, score, and the mean score. That is the statement that the user will see. Enter your age, score, and the mean score. Or write interactive statement, the message, followed by a variable, the content of a memory location. For example, this statement here will display the age, score, and the mean score of the student, accompanied by the statement like the details entered are as follows. Anything put in quote preceded by the word right, that is the statement that will be displayed on the screen. Then anything without quotes, like age, score, and the mean score, that simply means pick the content of memory location equal the age, score, and the mean score, and display it on the screen, or write it on a file, if that is the case. Or you can just have it as write variables. You list several. For example, write, opening parenthesis, name, age, score, mean score, closing parenthesis, semicolon. So this will output or display several or content of several memory locations at the same time. In this case, the write procedure can be replaced with the write line. You can also output a result of processing directly without the need to hold the value in a variable. For example, write line, the sum of A and B is, you just do the computation as you display on the screen, is A plus B. This statement means display the following, the sum of A and B is, then display the sum of the content of A and B. So if A and B are variables that have been assigned values, then the RightLine statement will pick what is in memory location A and memory location B. So those variables and the two are displayed on the screen without storing the results anywhere in memory. You can add formatting features within the write and RightLine statements through a format specification, make the data more readable and attractive. The format specification includes a field width and a precision specifier, which are both integer expressions. The field width specifies the minimum space to display the given value. For example, a RightLine, opening parenthesis, first name, colon 9. That means you space 9 characters. Space first name from second name. So have at least a separation of 9 characters. So first name, formatted 9 characters, space it up to maximum of 9 characters, then display second name. And then also the same, formatted to at least a maximum of 11 characters. At least 11 characters. So it is formatting. Format first name to at least the maximum of 9 characters, then second name maximum of 11 characters. So the field width is 9 and 11. It specifies the minimum space to display the given value. The minimum value display the given value. You can also have a statement like write, opening parenthesis, name in quote. So that one, the name will appear on the screen. Then from name, and the next one is class. So between name and the class, ensure that there's a format. There's a maximum of 10 characters for name and then class. Then from class to year of birth, ensure that you format it to a minimum of 10 characters, the same. So in other words, simply put, 10, 10, 15 are purely for spacing purposes, to space one item from the other, so that they are not so close until it makes the reading almost impossible to the user. The precision of a number is the number of digits to be displayed after the decimal point, and is specified only for real numbers. So you can do the same for real numbers. For example, write opening parenthesis score colon 3. That means format it. Format it so that whatever is score, its decimal point does not go beyond the 3 digits. Then mean score formatted 7 to 2. That means the mean score you have, the value that you have for mean score, if it has the whole number, the integer part and the fractional part, then the integer part and the fractional part should be formatted 7 to, meaning 2 of the decimal point. 2 characters should be part of the decimal point. So the decimal section should not exceed 2 digits. And the maximum size of the mean score, the maximum number of characters, should not go beyond 7. This means that mean score has been allocated 7 character positions, 2 of which are a fractional part. So simply meaning 5 are for the whole number part, 2 are for the decimal point part or fractional parts. The decimal point is also part of the character positions. So if the decimal point is part of the character positions, what does 7.2 mean? It means the maximum number of characters reserved for mean score are 7. These are inclusive of 2 for the decimal point section, 1 for the decimal point. So in fact, it is 4 for the whole number section, 1 for the decimal point, and 2 for the fractional part. When real numbers are being displayed, if the field width is not sufficient to accommodate all the digits after the decimal point, the fractional part is rounded off, fit in the specified field. In C, the 2 main functions used to output information are the printf and the puts. The standard C statement to output the monitor takes the form printf, opening parenthesis, output, closing parenthesis, semicolon, where output is what is displayed. For example, printf, on display the following statement on the screen because it is in quotation marks. Enter your age, score, and mean score. So this statement will be displayed on the screen. It is an interactive statement. Or the details entered are as follows. So this statement here, because it is having the identifiers for float and for integer, it simply means the statement will appear as follows. So the statement reads, display the following statement on the screen, or display the following on the screen. The statement that reads the details entered are as follows. So part of that statement are 3 values. 1 value for age, which is decimal, or which is an integer. The next value is score, which is an integer, and mean score, which is a float, is real. C, you can also write it as printf, that is display the following on the screen. Display the following values on the screen. 1 string, the other one integer, the other one integer, the other one float. In other words, display 4 values from memory location, where the first one is of type string, that is name. The second one is of type integer, that is the age. The third one is integer, which is the score. And the fourth one is mean score, which is a float. Last one is puts, name. You just use puts to display the name. You can also output a result of processing directly without assigning it to a variable, just as we have seen for Pascal. And this is how you do it. So primitive, meaning display the following on the screen or even on a file. The sum of A and B is a value, which is type integer. And then you drop one line. So which value is that? It is the sum of the content of memory location the A and that of B. So the sum of A and B is the sum, which is the value for A and B. So that one will not be stored anywhere. The sum is not being stored anywhere. The computation is being done and it's not being displayed on the screen directly. So the output using primitive function can be formatted by adding a non-negative number between percent, or sometimes we can call it even modulus, and the character that follows in the type identifier to identify the width of the output. For example, primitive, then we have in between the identifier for the string, we are specifying the size. It is 9 characters. 9 characters. So the number, the output using primitive function can be formatted by adding a non-negative number between the percentage and the character that follows in the type identifier to specify the width of the output. So the width of first name in this case is 9. The width of second name is 11. And then the escape sequence \n simply means drop one line after you have displayed the first and second name. Then your primitive %3d, meaning the size of the integer. The size of score should not exceed 3 or 3 characters. And then %7.2f, meaning mean score should not exceed 70 characters, inclusive of 2 for the decimal point. Though output inside the double quotes, in the primitive statement displays the string exactly the way it is specified, the use of escape sequence modifies the way the output is presented. So escape sequence \n is also for the spacing purposes. So escape sequences are non-repeating characters. The following examples of escape sequence characters and their meaning. So \n means new line. So if you include it in any part of your statement, it means that the cursor will drop one line. So it takes cursor to the next line of the screen. It can be placed anywhere in the stream. Like you can see, put a space, display the one to enter your age. Drop it, score, drop it, mean, you drop it. So in other words, this statement to display, enter your age, score, and mean vertically. Enter your age, first line, score, next line, mean, next line. \t, or this sequence character, is sent as a single character, \t. It means horizontal tab space, so it can be placed anywhere in the string, or also separating spacing between what is displayed on your screen. So space name, space class, space year of birth. So same line, but organized in form of columns. \v or v escape sequence \v, which is a single character, it means vertical tab space. Escape sequence A, alert bell, if you want your program to produce some ringing. Then these two backslashes is pure, it purely means backslash. Then single quote. When you put this escape sequence like that, that means a single quote. then the double quotes, then question mark. If you want to have question mark somewhere within your program or within your statement, you can use that symbol. And with that, my dear students and the rest of the learners, we have come to the end of this topic and the end of this presentation. Congratulations for learning section 545 of the topic, program structure. You can also access section 1 to 5 of this topic, other topics in the computer structured programming unit, as well as other computer or ICT videos by clicking or tapping on the Swap ICT YouTube channel below this video. You can also visit MNSwap Live Skills YouTube channel for free life skills, motivational, and inspirational resources. To subscribe to the channel, tap on subscribe button below this video in YouTube if it's not currently reading as subscribed. For any further correspondence, kindly write it to us through the email mnswap@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me, and let's meet in the next part of the series. God bless.